Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last. Mothers and fathers.
It's time for another conversation. How can a positive mindset impact our relationships? That's what we're going to be talking about this time around. And with me is Crystal Scale, motivational speaker, administrative assistant for YWOP, and she will tell us what that is and link your purpose. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Just tell us a little bit who or what is YWOP and link your purpose.
So YWAP is actually the acronym that stands for Young Women and Men of Purpose. And Link Your Purpose is an associated social enterprise that helps to fund the NGO Young Women and Men of Purpose. It is an amazing organization that just has brilliant minds with great talents and just a compassionate heart, willing to work towards creating opportunities that will empower young ladies, teenagers, teenage mothers, and even just men, and overall just that source of empowerment and for mentorship.
Okay. So anybody who didn't know what it is, you just told them in a nutshell. Excellent job.
Great.
Excellent job. Now, how can a positive mindset impact a relationship? Because this podcast is all about helping people to have better relationships.
A positive mindset will definitely help to make relationships a whole lot better. And that is because you're talking about a way of thinking that impacts your lifestyle, that in turn creates a ripple effect that will help and inspire and empower those who are around you. It is this innate part of your being that helps to mold you into who you are, to becoming that better version of yourself. So it is never something that's going to happen overnight, but it is a process that's going to help you to think clearer, think wiser, be better, do better. And then those who are around you will see you as a person of example because of the way you think and how you speak and how you act. And then they too can follow after you.
All right. Before we delve on that a little bit more, you said just know that it's a process.
It is
Tell
a
me
process.
a little bit about that process.
Wow, the process of positivity, as I like to call it,
Okay.
it is ensuring that you as the individual becomes empowered to be better. And so through this process, you try to ensure that what you're putting into yourself, whether it may be the music, the content that you read, the situations and environment that you put yourself in, these are all that can contribute to you in a positive way. Never underestimate the power of the mind and what can happen based on what it takes in. And so you feed your mind good things. So you train your mind to think in a way and act in a way that becomes positive, and it becomes your habit, and your habit, your lifestyle.
Okay. I'm gonna have you, well, as they say, stick a pin.
Okay.
Because there's somebody listening and they're saying, it's all well and good for you to say that, Crystal, but I try to feed my mind, but then in the wider society, or maybe even in my immediate environment, I then have to compete with other things, with the negativity. So your response to that would be what?
My response to that, and in just life and decision making in general, is if you want something bad enough, you make it happen. You have to be intentional.
Okay.
Anything good, as the saying would go, you don't have to run for it. And so once you have made that decision, you've gotten to that point where you say, I want to become better and I'm willing to do whatever it takes, then start to take into practice actions that are going to help you to let go. Because sometimes to move forward, you have to let go. You can't always hold on. And here's what's amazing about letting go is that some of the times what you're holding on to is the anchor that's going to sink you. But if you want to get to the point of rising up, floating, and then flying beyond your wildest imaginations, then you will let go of the things that could be holding you back. And so in this process of empowering yourself, I would say, it's not a death sentence to say, okay, this is just the end. It's going to be something that, I'm going to be so unhappy with. No. I think that it's a process where get enjoyment and fulfillment by realizing that sometimes you just don't need the big things to be happy. The small things add up. Every moment is a part of creating a day, and a day your lifetime, and your lifetime of your happiness. So through this process, you not only exist in this life, You're not
Live.
only alive, but you get to live and live fulfillingly.
Okay. No, you said earlier the whole idea that it then impacts your lifestyle.
Yes.
Talk about how did you get to that point where I am sure at this point it is impacting your lifestyle and of course impacting your relationships. Tell us about that.
I think the best way to approach explaining how it's going to impact your lifestyle is by using my life, for example. I think it's easier to relate. It is the power that you have comes in the way you think that's going to affect the way you speak.
Okay.
And so what I try to do is I try to put myself in situations such as I know that not everyone who maybe would like to be around me or like to be close to me are persons who are best for me. And so I try to ensure that whoever I'm around or whoever comes around me, I try to speak positive things. So when they would come with, okay, the stress of life or just feeling down or out of it, then I try to remind them that in every dark cloud is that silver lining. In every obstacle that you face is something good that's going to empower you and grow you into the best version of yourself. So I try to encourage them to train their way of thinking to say, it may look bad, but there is even better to come. So it keeps the faith and it keeps the optimism. So now being that person who tries to put that positivity out to create that ripple effect creates a good environment for that person. But then at the same time, I'd have to ensure that whether I'm on social media, whether it is that I'm saying you are my friend, my bosom friend, my best friend, my ride or die, as they would call it, that what you are bringing to me is going to help to uplift me and not to tear me down. Because we don't necessarily aim to tear someone down.
True.
But the reality is we do things unintentionally, but it doesn't mean it does not happen. And so while you're trying to do good, ensure that goodness is surrounding you. Because I believe we're like a sponge. We just take in, the mind takes in, and we as human beings take in all of this. And over time, it affects us in some way, whether we realize it or not.
Yeah.
So that's a part of the lifestyle, the everyday things that all just add up.
Okay. How has this impacted your relationships, whether immediate or otherwise?
It has impacted my relationship in a great way because even though it may not always be easy to just say, okay, I'm going to let go of this situation, at the end of the day, I'm growing and being empowered to be better. Because what is happening is it's keeping me rooted and grounded. It's helping me to never forget who I am, what I'm about, and who it is that I would like to become. And then at the end of the day, it's not just myself who'll be the one who's benefiting, but those who are around me. Because I am now helped to keep grounded like a tree. That as I grow and as I bloom and as I blossom, everything that I put out just has that effect to just reach others and helps them to say, okay, I have that voice of hope, that reminder to say, it's going to be okay. Or just that little voice or that presence to say, you know what? Goodness does exist in a world that has so much bad going on, but it does exist.
So somebody's listening and saying, who is this woman? All of this, I mean, what? Nothing upsets her. Nothing rubs her the wrong way. Who is she? Who is this? A living saint? Who is she?
I am a human being who is humble and compassionate that just always tries to see life as not this big picture, but every moment that adds up. And realizing that a life that is truly fulfilling is not one that only has me benefiting, but knows that in everything that I do, large or small, that I can be able to inspire, encourage, and help someone else along the way. So it's not just great to say, okay, I've risen to success and I've risen to happiness, but it's great to know that when I'm rising, then I have my hand reach forward. And there are many hands that hold mine that reach forward and bring someone else up. So it's not to say I don't have bad days. I do. Every day has a moment that's going to challenge you. But it's up to you now to be able to respond to it in a positive way. And that's why I try to develop habits. So your instinctive reaction that would say, okay, I'm going to lash out or I'm going to shut down. You now have to discipline and train yourself and the way of thinking to say, all right, maybe you do, but you catch yourself back and you say, if I start to count my blessings and I go 1, 2, 3, they far exceed anything that could be so bad that I thought it was the end of it all. Yeah. So I try to count my blessings, and I try to remind myself why it is that I do what I do and why it is important to be good, because there's nothing like good.
How do you think this positive mindset can spread, and not stay only in pockets within our society?
I realized that you can never underestimate the power of the internet, social media. Never underestimate the power of words and the words that you put out. Where are you putting them out? Through whatever media they may be. Mm-hmm. And also, never underestimate just being that one person. Malala Yousafzai rightly says, when the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful. She's saying that, and I interpret it as my philosophy to say, no matter what, it has to start with at least one person. So the good thing is when it starts with one, there is a ripple effect that follows. We just don't necessarily always see it immediately. And maybe it's not something that's directly in your face to say, here I am, like this big ray of light like you see on TV. Oh, no. But they can just be... When you, for example, you go on social media and you see one person who is putting out something good, and I've noticed something, I like that post. And then on my news feed, more starts to come up, and I like that one. And then it starts to come into my space because that's what I'm inviting. So it is, sometimes you have to now go and look for them and you realize they are there. But sometimes just the simple things you do brings them into your space without you even asking. So there are motivational speakers who have amazing videos on YouTube. You can see their quotes, you can hear about their stories, and you can hear them share other person's stories right there on social media. And even just watching the television, whether you're looking at Curling Brown and the amazing job that she's doing, that's just another form of positivity. Or maybe it is that you'd have persons who are in our diaspora for the Caribbean and for Jamaica, and they're always doing something good. You hear their stories. So sometimes we have to realize that what we're looking for may actually be closer than we even realize. It's just that we don't necessarily realize what we're looking for. Or we put a label on it and think that everything is boxed into just this one space. And if it doesn't fit in that little box, that's it. No. Your words, your actions, the thoughts that you're thinking that maybe you don't necessarily speak, but it's showing on your face. That energy you bring to a room. Sometimes when everyone else is shouting and you are so quiet, and one person realizes that you're the quiet one in the room, everyone else eventually realizes that you're the quiet one in the room, and the entire room becomes quiet. That's the power of positivity.
You said a lot, but if there's somebody who's still saying, Crystal, I don't know, with all I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and all the stress and the not having enough money to do this, all the stresses of life. If you had to just sum it up in a 3-step process in terms of developing this positive mindset, which would then impact your relationships or relationships, what would that 3-step process be?
This 3-step process would have to be building yourself to love yourself, and then choosing intentionally to take actions that will impact someone else the same way that you'd want them to impact you. And then after that, it will be reminding yourself at the end of the day why you're going to start it all over again. I have in every day, in every moment, sometimes I feel so overwhelmed with everything that's going on, good and bad. I have my moments when I wonder, wow, can I really psych myself up to be so happy? And sometimes someone may say happiness and just being positive is draining. But then I always remind myself to take a step back. Take a step back from social media. Take a step back from always trying to help someone else, and spend some time to focus on myself. Spend some time to make sure I'm resting, I'm eating right, or I'm exercising. And then spend some time to develop myself and grow spiritually, because my faith helps to keep me rooted and grounded. And when I look back at the stories of Jesus Christ, when I take a look even at during this Easter season, looking at the crucifixion and seeing the deeper message in it that says, I have a love for you that is so profound and so great that I gave everything away just for you. Even as unperfect as you are, even as you may think that, you know what, I'm not worthy. And then I start to remind myself of my worth.
That's right.
I start to remind myself that I don't need the great things to be happy, because let's be realistic.
That's right.
If someone said to you with just a few words that you have a day to live, how many of the things that are on your thoughts that you're saying, you know what, if I don't have this, I will never be happy. How many of them would really matter? How many of them would you let go without even a thought?
Yep.
What are the things that come to the forefront of your mind and you say, you know what, I have to do this? Because the reality is, when you realize that you don't have much time left, the only thing you're willing to bring into your space are what's going to make you happy.
That's right.
And then when you know that you believe in others behind, you really want to leave something good behind for them to be happy. That's what we're talking about in positivity. Realizing that time is so precious and you choose not to waste it on things that are so insignificant and draining, but instead to try and take every single thing, find the best in it, make the best of it, and watch it grow to something so great that it helps to just, it's like this presence that is unseen in a room, that's unseen, but it's in your heart. It's unseen, but it's there in your thoughts, and it's keeping you rooted and grounded.
I have nothing more to say than thank you so much, Crystal. It was all about how can a positive mindset impact our relationships. This is Noreen Daly for Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people.
Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.